Hello, my name is Logan and I'm your host, the Mighty Pirate. In today's video, I will finish my brief timeline of the Battletech universe, starting with the collapse of the Star League in 2781 and concluding the timeline with the Dark Age era in 3132. At the end of a previous video, I discussed the steps that led into the foundation of the Star League. However, this golden age of mankind has ended with every last member of the Cameron family being killed during a coup launched by Stephen Armis, a ruler outside the Inner Sphere in a region known as the Periphery. He claims to be the new ruler of the Star League. This leads to a massive 13-year war, which ultimately dethrones Stefan, but when the war is done, none of the great houses will agree on who will claim rulership of the Star League. The Star League is disbanded, all of the house leaders calling it a sham. General Alexander Kerensky, leader of the Star League Defense Force, is distraught by the state of the Inner Sphere and rallies all of his forces to depart known space in hopes of making a better civilization, taking with him 80% of all of the Inner Sphere's defense force. After this massive exodus, the Inner Sphere collapses into centuries of warfare, each being more brutal than the last. This will be later known as the Succession Wars, and the results are petty border changes and a massive loss of technology across most of the worlds caught in this endless conflict. This warfare is only paused as an unknown force strikes through the periphery and into the outer worlds of the Inner Sphere. In the year 3052, invaders calling themselves the Clans. These forces are the descendants of Kerensky's Star League Defense Force, now forged into a society of being the greatest fighting force in history. With vastly superior technology and warriors, the clans conquer world after world, pushing towards the core of the Inner Sphere, each conquest faster and more efficient than the one before. This outside threat led to the great houses calling upon each other for protection and eventually a reforging of the Star League, something that hundreds of years of conflict failed to do. For the first time in centuries, efforts were focused on building technologies to combat this threat, as opposed to preventing the other houses from gaining a technological edge, catalyzing a technological renaissance. Eventually, the clans stop their advance, as the combined strength of the Inner Sphere completely annihilates an entire clan, the Smoke Jaguars, in 3060. Seeing this turn of events, Clan Novacat joins the newly founded Star League, much to the fury of the other clans. For the first time, the clan invasion is at a loss of what to do, and many clans abandon their recently claimed territories to retreat to their homeworld systems. With the outside threat of the clans somewhat diminished, the Inner Sphere quickly fell into internal strife, and House Leo reconquers its former territories, the St. Ives Compact, and a rebellion of military units belonging to House Kurta sparks a war with a bordering faction, Clan Ghostbear. To further this time of strife, the two strongest houses within the Inner Sphere, House Steiner and House Davin, fall into a civil war that will last 5 years. Following this brutal civil war, in the year 3067, the Star League once again collapses as no faction has faith in the other's pacts. Meanwhile, on Earth, largely separated from these conflicts, a pseudo-religious faction calling themselves the Word of Blake gain control of Comstar Communications. Comstar is the system which was used for all interstellar communication, and the Word of Blake declared the Jihad, a complex plan that will ultimately send every faction to war with each other, and often against themselves, as more and more misinformation causes the death of millions. For the first time in centuries, weapons of mass destruction are used, abandoning all pacts that have been laid down by former house leaders. This does not stop the breakneck pace of technologies, however, as more and more frightening weapons are made and then mass-produced. This time of nuclear warfare and all-or-nothing tactics would grind the Inner Sphere down for nearly 100 years. Eventually, the Word of Blake loses its political control, and Devon Stone assumes the control of the worlds around and including Terra in the year 3081. From these worlds, he creates the Republic of the Inner Sphere and begins peace agreements amongst the great houses. Each faction in one way or another embrace the disarmament, and the massive armies of the Succession Wars and the clan invasion begin to fade. However, in 3132, a coordinated terrorist attack destroys 80% of all interstellar communication, throwing the universe into chaos once more. Each faction blames the others and quickly use this as a means to gain ground on each other. With the communication blackout, war almost immediately breaks out, and the factions begin to build their armies once more. This is the final chapter in the Battletech universe, aptly known as the Dark Age. This concludes the brief timeline of the Battletech universe. I hope that you'll join me in my next set of videos about the clans, and afterwards individual faction videos. Thanks for watching.